Good afternoon and welcome to the April 22nd Clark County Fire District 6 Board of Commissioners meeting. I'd like to call this afternoon's meeting to order and ask that you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I might ask for any additions to this afternoon's agenda. None here. Need to read and approve, post as necessary, the minutes for April 7th board meeting. So moved. Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Correspondence this afternoon. Citizen communication. Citizens viewing this afternoon's meeting can communicate directly with the board using the chat feature that will be monitored throughout this afternoon's meeting. Committee reports. Health and safety report. Chief Barney.
Good afternoon. You'll see in your health and safety report there are a number of injury reports. All of them nothing significant. All of them preventative in nature. You'll see there are no time lost and no claims. We did have two members with exposures this past reporting period. One was from an IO needle stick during training, and the other was a preventative report, some exposure to battery smoke at an electric vehicle fire. All protocols were filed, and we did have one vehicular accident during a recent windstorm. A down wire caught a light, damaged the light, but we were able to fix that in-house and no claim was filed. Couple reports from the shifts. We did have a member report an issue with a training and how we exercised some training there. The report was noted and handled in-house by one of the battalion chief on duty who addressed the issue. There's a report of lack of ventilation in the SCBA room. We're working on contaminated equipment. Chief Colleen is looking into and we'll follow up on that issue. Some concerns were raised about decontamination of our PPE after heavy metal exposures. As you all know, that's a significant topic, but ongoing kind of topic for the fire service in general. The chiefs were paying attention to that topic in-house, as well as also watching the research done by the Regional Operations Committee on the topic. So more to follow on that, but we're just monitoring that and how to best to address it from now on. The final topic is we're having just discussions on fire station bay doors. Thankfully, we haven't had any accidents and collisions with the bay doors, but we are talking about maybe it's worthwhile to remove the timers to make sure that it's a real positive connection that they do lower them. But that's more of a discussion point at this point. End of report.
Thank you. Risk management group.
Yeah, the risk management group had our quarterly meeting. They reported out on quarterly incidents for the group. Happy to report District 6 had none of those claims in there, so we kind of had a clean quarter. That continues. WHA's representative also reported out on assistance that they can provide fire districts for workers' comp claims, just kind of assisting them getting the process kind of expedited, kind of similar to what Ready Rebound does, but hopefully, and maybe they might, where Ready Rebound struggles a little bit is with L&I. So WHA might be able to kind of keep hounding L&I to keep pushing claims through. They've hired some claims adjusters on to kind of help with that process. So we'll give it a shot. They also talked about the FIRE program. That's Fire with Two Eyes, which is an insurance reduction program. If you can get into this program, we could save about 10% on our L&I claims. Is it L&I claims? Yeah. And so we have our HR looking into that and working with WHA to get us enrolled in that in 2026. Other than that, we had a good discussion post with our insurance broker talking about our cadet program and just evaluating the insurance coverage specifically for our New York trip. That's not sanctioned by Cascadia Tech. And so he's going to make contact with Cascadia Tech, look at that, look at the program in general, and then also look at our merge trip just to make sure we don't have any liability gaps. So we made great headway on that, I think. So with that, unless there's any questions for the risk management group, with that report.
Thank you. Fairgrounds Park Facility Board.
Basically, we met all of our issues were building maintenance issues that are being taken care of. But there was nothing significant, was the chief.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of general projects continue around there, some drainage issues. They've got the polished floors completed. So things are looking good, but overall, and I think we'll talk about it later in the report, like eventually that station will probably need a full facelift, but will be us for several years to come.
EMS District 2.
Yeah, so the EMS District 2 has had both a formal board meeting and an administrative board meeting, and then we've also had compliance meetings with AMR regarding the EMS District 2 compliance contract. All those are going well. I think we have a newly formed overhead board, which has commissioner representatives from one of the fire districts, and that'll rotate on a biannual basis. With the reformation of the EMS District 2 board, the county has become a minority on that board because they have less than 2 positions. For that reason, that kind of changes the county's responsibility of the EMS District 2. And so now the actual EMS district will have to take over its own accounting and auditing portions of that. So the board is kind of working through what that's going to look like. There's a little bit of a fund balance, but that's not going to last a long time. So I think long-term sustainability will be a thing that we're going to have to watch. There still remains a lot of interest on rejoining the 2 EMS contracts between the City of Vancouver, AMR, and our contract with AMR. AMR is going to, they were supposed to report numbers that could be what the numbers could be if we merge those contracts. They asked for an extension on that, so we haven't got those numbers yet, but we'll continue to meet and discuss. We also did bring up the ambulance labeling issue because it does mention in our contract that there'll be some reference to countywide services on AMR ambulances. So we've taken that to the board. They're considering some options and we'll discuss that. That's being addressed. Unless there's any questions for that, let's see that report.
Moving on to the consent agenda. Move for approval. Second. Motion made, seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Chief's report, 2026 quarterly division.
Yeah, so we wanted to give you guys kind of a quarterly update. You know, I think at the beginning of the year, we talked about budget, kind of where we would like to head. I just want to give you a quick divisional quarterly update on where we are and where we're headed. We'll each report out a little section. I'll try to be as quick as possible. If you have any questions, just jump in and stop us. But we can also, you know, obviously at the end, if you have any questions as well. First thing I wanted to talk about, something that's been in the works for a long time, and we finally got the finished report, and I just kind of want to detail the highlights, is the Citygate Standard Recover report. That is, while it's not a complete standard recover, it's a data report basically on all the data that they analyzed. So here we go. The analysis period was a 3-year period. So they looked at 21 through 24, about halfway through 24, June 30th of 2024, which totaled about 30,000 incidents that they were able to look at, 37,000 responses. They came up with 7 findings and 4 recommendations. Finding number 1 is that our demand for service is very consistent over the day of week and month of the year. So as you can see, we have a little bit of a spike in 23-24 in August. We had a busy month there, but for the most part, we're pretty consistent throughout the year. So that's nice to see. It's easy to plan. Also, our peak hours are from 7 in the morning till 2200 at night. So that's just kind of a point of interest. Finding number 3, Station 61 busyness, right? So we understand, and you can see by the graph there, 151 barely shows any responses. That's just FD6s. So that's 1/3 of the time on 151. If we were to include the other 2/3 that Clark Cowledge covers, it would be just a hair busier than Station 62. So 61 is our busiest. we asked the question of them, like, how busy is too busy, right? When do we need to look at other deployment options out of Station 61? Because it feels very busy, down here during the day. We're at about a 16.6% unit hour utilization at 4 p.m. So for 1 hour of the day, we're about 16% unit hour utilization. Citygate recommends any area or unit over 30% for 6 hours or more, like you need in addition. I will say, like, the caveat there is the operational workload extends beyond call. Right? If you've worked this job, you understand it's not just responding to calls, but I think certainly the EMS dominant call profile that we go on out of here, the high rate of canceled incidents, the daytime call clustering combined with our administrative duties and training schedule, it feels excessively busy. So really what we're learning is what we already knew. Station 61 is busy. We need to keep an eye on it, and we'll keep an eye on it. But as far as our unit hour utilization goes, it's good to know that we're in a safe place at 16.6 for 1 hour. The next finding, our regional call processing time, something we talked about a little bit before. So our high priority incidents, so these are priority 1 and 2 calls, EMS and fire. The call processing time for those calls at Cresa had been 2 minutes and 27 seconds. National best practice is a minute. So that's a big area for improvement. And we'll talk more about that here in a minute. The next finding, our turnout times in 2025, just looking at 2025 and just looking at those priority 1 and 2 calls. And this isn't a 90th percentile. This is an average. So that does change things quite a bit. But the average, which is the metric that they use, is 2 minutes and 39 seconds, which is slower than the best practice of 2 minutes for an average. So we have some room to improve there as well. And we'll talk about that here. The next finding, the travel time. So the time from in or out to arrival, we're at 5:36. Best practice is between 4 and 5 minutes. And that's really largely because we have some road challenges, right? We have Big Greenway, Salmon Creek, that divides our district up a little bit. We have some hilly, windy roads that are just difficult to navigate and take a little bit longer. So we're about 30 seconds, 36 seconds beyond best practice, but we see there's other areas we can kind of capture that time savings, still meet our goals. So overall, from time of call to time of arrival, we're at 8:52, which is not best practice. Best practice between 7:30 and 8:30. From the time the dispatcher picks up the phone to the time we're at someone's doorstep offering the service. So we need to shave about a minute off of our time to be inside of national best practice, which is where we want to be. We want to be better there. So their recommendations from Citygate, which is a nationally recognized data analysis group, is to, first of all, keep an eye on the unit hour utilization of Station 61. Like, it's busy, it's getting busier, keep an eye on it. If it starts to get to the mid 20th percentile for hours at a time, then we definitely want to start looking at another unit at Station 61. Right now, again, we're at 16.6 for 1 hour in 2025. That's ticking up about 3% per year. So something we want to keep an eye on. Recommendation number 2 is really just operational and deployment and how we do it. And this is something that operations will be keeping an eye on and making a priority. And it's really just that we want to make sure Station 61 is always covered, especially during our peak hours because of call concurrence. Like, all of our calls, most of our calls are happening on Station 61. So if we have training, if we have a ceremony, if we have recognition going on elsewhere in the district, we need to either bring that here to 61 and do it here, or we need to just make sure that there's coverage staying home and not vacate the station. So we're making that an operational problem. Recommendation 3, work aggressively to lower turnout time. So we need to implement a turnout improvement protocol. We'll get to that here in a second. And then work aggressively with regional partners and dispatch call press to get call processing times down, because that's a place where we could potentially shave a minute to get the best practices. So the actions that your administration is taking after reading this report. First of all, we've already begun to engage with Cresa. We had a sit-down meeting with them. We've had follow-up phone calls based on the metrics we're seeing. They pulled the data. They agree the times aren't, a anomaly that just Citygate found. They see those call times as well. They do have issues a little bit with the standards, right? They don't have the same standards necessarily as your NFPA standards that we're holding them to. But we're going to continue to work with them. I know Chief North, since we kind of grouped up with the study with Citygate and Clark Callis have the same study, they have the same call processing times as well. So it's also an area that they see for improvement. Chief North sits on the board of Cressa. We'll be approaching Cressa. We'll be utilizing our law enforcement partners also to see how they're doing. Cressa's open. Cressa wants to be a good partner. They want to see how they can improve and they want to try to do a better job. One thing they're up against, and I'll, just to give them a little bit of background, as we've all turned to cell phones and cell phone mapping, people don't know where they are all the time. And so their policy is to confirm twice the location, make sure whether they are where they say they are before they dispatch the wrong unit. And so that's their biggest. They spend a lot of time trying to nail down someone's location. So because we're not one organization, they can't just send a rig. Like, well, they send a rig, but it's actually ours. They should have dispatched, or Vancouver, they should have dispatched once they've confirmed the address. So they kind of hold the call for a while as they're trying to figure out things. So I think there's a little bit of a reason to their delay, and whether we need to look at changing standards, I think that's down the road some. But first, we're going to engage with them to see how we can move the needle and shaving that minute and get them down into best practice for call processing. The second area that we know we can improve performance is through our turn teams. And I think that's just through education training. I think kind of like we had the safety stand down and burning nicks and dings with apparatus. We did that, we educated them, we communicated, and we haven't seen an issue in 3.5 months. I think we can do the same thing. We're working on messaging. We're working on also how we go in routes, using geofencing instead of button pushing. I think will also help us in nailing down that metric. But I really think once we approach our personnel, they're going to respond and see how they can get this organization best practice just by shaving some seconds off how fast they get to the rig, mostly. So by improving those two things, call processing time and turnout time, we can shave 1.5 minutes. And that can get us into national best practice for total response. And that's where we need to be. That's where our citizens deserve us to be, and that's what we're going to get. The last thing that the action we'll be taking is, this standard of cover, quote unquote, from Citygate, we parsed it out for some other studies as well. So it's not a full standard of cover that we can just put on our shelf and use for strategic planning in the future. It doesn't have demographic data, it doesn't have some of our mapping data, but it needs to truly be a standalone standard of cover. So we're going to complete that report so that we have it, so that we can roll that into strategic planning for 2027. So that's our last action that we plan to take with the city. I uploaded in your board packet. You have both the statistical analysis and their kind of reports of findings and recommendations is all in your report for full digestion at your leisure. The next thing I want to touch on is our budget position. So this is our first quarter budget position. So we started with a beginning balance of $16,300,000. We're right now 81% remaining. So if this is a true quarter, we'd be at 75. So we're in good shape right now. I think a lot of that is due to we've got healthy firefighters, folks are here, and present. We don't have the injuries we experienced last year. We're a little closer to that 75% expended, or 25% expended on EMS, but we're still looking great. But that's where we are for the first quarter of 2026. One thing a figure I asked Tara because I found it interesting and I just wanted to know what it was. So I wanted you guys to know what it was. If you look at the chart across the bottom, it's a little easier to see, and some of that's cut off the Commissioner Haynes. But this is basically our beginning fund balance starting back in 2022. So back in 2022, our carryover was 10.9. 2023 was 11.2. 2024, 13.4. 2025, 14.2. 2026, 16.3. So we are growing responsibly. Right? And we have the 35% carryover by board. So as our budget grows, so does our carryover. I will say, as we look into 2027, and what we came to you guys with at the beginning of the year was those reserve accounts and funding those reserve accounts. So as we develop the percentages, we want to put those, allocate to each of those reserve accounts. We will see that carryover drop, right? Because it's going to be allocated to the funds. So it won't be clean carryover. But I thought it was a good figure. I wanted to see grow in response. Overtime analysis, I will report on this monthly, but I thought it was just interesting difference between 2025 and 2026. The two charts on your left are by calendar year. The top one is by hours of overtime. The bottom was the dollar figure associated with that. You can see in 2025, we had a lot of it. We were kind of hemorrhaging. We had a lot of injuries. We had a lot of folks off, a lot of babies born in 2025. We're having that 2026 as well. We've got a young fire department, so that's awesome. Families are growing. But you can see we're doing much better in overtime for 2026. So we're in a very sustainable place. We saw a pretty, not super significant, but a significant uptick for March, spring break week. And then we also have some babies in there too. The overtime, what's driving the overtime is the chart on your right. And that's, minimum staff is the majority of that. Our training is, pretty much standard business practice. So I think we're good there. The one thing that's nice is our third biggest overtime chunk is CARES, and that's fully refunded by Clark College from the CARES program. So that expenditure is when it's funded. So nice to see. And I'm going to pass to Chief Schmidt to talk about administration and logistics.
All right, so my areas of responsibility, one of them is the financial work group, and Tara is one of the main persons on that team. And Tara and myself manage that group. So we've been working on moving things from paper to digital. So that's kind of our biggest process. But we moved all of our admin staff onto vector scheduling. So now everybody's on there. Our paperwork phase out's been going on. We've got paycheck stubs now that are all digital. Our ARF's all digital, and our payroll is right about there. These two have been working very hard every month trying to get that up and running, and we're right there. Probably next month will be 100%. Capital facilities. So as you've noticed on the outside there, our shop remodel is just about done. We've had the roof replaced, the gutters replaced, that air conditioning unit is in. We got a rebate back from putting in an energy efficient unit. Our lighting's all been replaced with LED lighting, and our painting is out for bid right now for internal and external painting. Station 62, the emergency generator. This was taken out of the budget a couple years back. We put it back in, and now the work's going to be getting done. So right now we're during fiscal year 2026. We'll get the construction plans done. We'll get the bidding, permitting, and we expect this to be completed first quarter of 2027. It takes about 6 months to build once we've determined what generator we're putting in. We're trying to reduce the size of it by about 50%, the capacity right now, because most of the use in there right now in that space is because of the electric heaters that are on the apparatus bank. Those use up about 2/3 of the actual electricity that's being used in that station. So we're looking at changing those out for some natural gas, more energy efficient heaters for that space. And that'll allow us to take that emergency generator from a 60,000 watt down to a 30,000 watt, so cut it in half. So that'll reduce the price by about 30%. We're going to be looking at the 2024 capital facilities plan. So a lot of the things we had on there have been completed to this date. But a couple of things that we still have outstanding that we're going to be looking at in the future. We're no longer looking at a station 64, but we're looking at station 151 as a permanent facility and looking at maybe an expansion and or remodel. And the other is the district shop expansion. We've had it on the plans before with the 161s here, and we kind of pushed it off as well. Now with two mechanics there, we could definitely use the extra space. And whether we do it here on this footprint or we do it out there at 151, if we do it in partnership with our neighbors, that'd be a great location for that as well. We got space on the side there. So those are the things we're looking at the capital facilities plan. We'll go ahead and update it. New engine purchase. So the 26 Sabre just about ready to go. So the final inspection is going to be in June. Delivery expected in August, and then in service here September or October. You've been seeing the pictures on those every week as Brad puts those out. Apparatus movement. So when we do get it here, it's going to come to this station. It's going to replace engine 61, which is currently 6-44. And that 6-44 is going to go into reserve status. The next slide kind of shows this. But then, everything is bumped down. So in reserve right now, our first up reserve is 6-45. And that's planned to go to station 151. That'll be engine 65/25. And that's the sister unit to this, to engine 11, or engine 61, 2015 Pierce. Here are apparatus. And so basically it's newest to oldest as you go down the list. So when that new Pierce Saber comes online, that'll bump down into the front line. And that last one down there, 6-44, then bumps down to reserve status. And then the bottom one down there, 6-25, which is the cadet engine right now, that one is going to go away. So we'll either salvage that out or we'll give it away to somebody that's in need, determined by the board when we get to that point. But each one gets bumped down, bumps down, and then we'll have pretty good standing once we get those next two engines in here. Everything's going to be pretty much brand new on the front line. Gov deals, every meeting or so we approve salvage, right? So these items go to salvage, and this just gives you a breakdown of what we've done. So since July of 2023, we've sold 268 items for a total of over $38,000. And there's a couple items on the apparatus bay right now that are going out that you see there on the right-hand side that are very expensive. So we'll be close to 40,000 here at the end of the week, probably pick them all up. So done pretty good with that, getting rid of items that sometimes you look at and you would think it's trash, like a broken trash can that we sold for like 25, 50 bucks. Some items you expect to go more, don't go for quite as much, but Brad's done a great job of keeping these things running. If they don't sell, puts them right back out there again. And all of a sudden, it's like dropping a line in the water. You catch them. Staffing. So we're planning for a December engineers exam. We're planning for a spring 2027 fire academy. We recently hired a assistant chief of operations to my left. We hired a fleet technician. We hired a community risk reduction coordinator and a part-time facilities maintenance person. So a lot of things going on, changing things. IT, I thought I'd bring this to you because we kind of talked about replacing units over the last couple of years, and we're in great shape right now. I got a rundown from Fastech on what we really have. We have 88 units out there, computers, tablets, MDCs, you name it. That's quite a few pieces of computer equipment that we've had to kind of rotate in and buy new and replace the old ones. But we're in great shape now. We've got everything except for the old MDCs that are getting replaced next week or the week after. They're at Fastech right now, they're ready to go. They're just finalizing the last few details. Once those go on, everything's Windows 11 compliant. We're going to be one of the only agencies and businesses in this area that is in that position. Fastech is like, they're amazed that we've gotten to that position. So appreciate all the support we've had on this, and we've been really in great shape right now going forward for quite a few years now in Windows 11.
And with your cyber training, we're rock solid. We're rock solid. Yeah.
I thought I'd give you a quick rundown on where we're at with plan review. So we've had quite a few things come through. So this is the last part of 2025, the first quarter now of 2026, 151 home sites. The picture you're seeing there, that is the Three Creeks East subdivision, phase 1. So up there at 179th, east of the 5 freeway, just right off there where it's all open space right now, where the old RV was over there. This is one that I didn't even have on my radar that popped up. 88 homes here, at least the same amount just north of that. This is right adjacent to that. If you see that right, the block on the right there, the white space, that's where those 149 apartments went in a few years back. So those new apartment buildings all in there, they tuck right into there and tie in with the road. So we're going to have a bunch of homes right there. So this is right down the street from 151, just straight shot. But to the left of that is going to be the Three Oaks north and south. That's the huge subdivisions going in with the school and then all the commercial buildings below 179. So this is all that same area, 179 and the 5. Yeah.
Is this the area where the Port of Richfield's taking their money?
There's one multifamily residential unit going in, and it's two buildings, one with a 3 attached townhouse and one with five units.
I don't know, it's upside down.
That's 179th is at the bottom of the screen there going north. Five freeways to the left.
The Kimsey short lot, where's that at?
What?
Do you have maps of each one of those?
Do I have maps? No, I don't.
Where's the Kimsey short lot? That's the question, where's that going?
The Kimsey, I have to pull it up again. That's what we call it. That's just a small 6 homes. It's probably I think that was 1 or 2 home sites that were bought together, and they're putting a couple homes in one area. Commercial wise, we got about over 100,000 square feet coming in. The biggest of these is the Swan Island sheet metal, 67,000 square feet over there. That's over by the fairgrounds, where all the commercial development's going in over there. So, and then a couple other ones in there, DeWitt's company, the complex, 2 buildings on the same site, phase 1, phase 2, 6,400 and 16,000. Most of that is warehouse, but there's office, like I think it's 400 square feet of office on the first one, and then about 1,000 square feet of office on the second, mostly warehouse on the backside. Just some commercial development going in. There are no senior housing developments, which is the first time we've not seen any of those on there. And that's it for mine. Any questions?
In the future, can you put the address underneath those?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
I'll try to keep it light this time, but I will definitely, yes.
Just curious.
All right, good afternoon again. From the operational side of the house, just to provide you a picture comparatively for the first quarter for this year and last. We are right about the same where we were last year, just maybe a touch underneath in responses. Like Chief Schmidt mentioned, I hired a new assistant chief operations. The jury's still out on him. Firefighter Dunlap retired, and engineer Michael Garrison was promoted to fill that vacancy. Captain Tony Losbeck moved into the position of tech rescue team coordinator, and we did lose 2 members during the probationary process during the first quarter of this year. The initiatives in the operations division that were identified that we've been working on, as everybody knows, Truck 63 went in service this first quarter. And along with that, the training division and operations have been working diligently to make sure that all of our members feel comfortable at least operating on the truck in the capacity of filling in on overtime and vacation, et cetera. So that's wrapping up and been very successful. The training division is committed to planning out for the year and looking into the next year, making sure that we're hitting all the benchmarks we need to make sure we're meeting our professional obligations, as well as communicating to our members what the training is that is happening now and upcoming. So they're doing a fantastic job with that. From the fire chief, one of the initiatives was to make sure the district received the basic level of wildland firefighter training. And that training is culminating this week with field days happening by Vancouver Lake.
Would that give them a red card then?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The engineer development program is in module 2, which will culminate toward the very end of the year with a promotional process. And then right now we have a division chief of training vacancy with Chief Brahms retirement at the end of this month. And that may or may also contribute to a vacancy of battalion chief to be determined. In addition, we also stood up a honor guard, 6-member honor guard. The first event was Firefighter Dunlap's retirement ceremony. It was very nice. They have their initial training coming up, and that's in conjunction, being sponsored in conjunction with the local. A couple of notable calls over the last quarter. We had a roofer operating on a second-story roof, fell and became incapacitated and unable to get down. And so it just so happened that truck 63 was over at 62s, and they both responded and proceeded to work together and remove the injured roofer off the roof. We had a fire in Philida neighborhood in mid-February, and the fire was contained to the room of origin. You may have heard we had a hazmat call at the Walmart on Highway 99. A chemical was released and the store was forced to evacuate and was closed for the remainder of the business day. About 50 patients were evaluated. Fortunately, no one was transported. And then finally, we had a homeless camp that caught on fire and extended into a vacant structure, also in 99, Highway 99 area. So just a couple of the notable calls. Finally, you may have heard last year, two of our members were instrumental in a life-saving effort in the city of Vancouver's jurisdiction. These two members, engineer paramedic Josh Larson and firefighter Apazgai, were both honored by Vancouver Fire with life-saving awards this quarter.
Any questions we can answer for you guys regarding the first quarter 2026?
That is the end of, well, great job. Yeah. Great.
When are our two years ago? Are they coming next year? They got bumped up a year.
Yeah, end of 2027. They did get bumped up into a new year, but it's like a 6-month shortening. So we haven't started seeing the pictures. They're not going up yet. Or Sabre coming out of Florida. Next one, as Chief Schmidt mentioned, we'll be going back in June for the final.
It appears we have enough money to pay for those two engines.
We budgeted for the transfer payment in full for both
Next year.
units into the apparatus reserve. We'll come to you in May with that request to transfer that money.
Thank you. That's kind of my question.
Thank you.
Oh, I do have another quick question. My neighbor asked me, she saw the article in the paper about the cost of fuel going up, and she wondered how that was affecting the fire district. We just flowing right through our fuel budget, I would assume.
Highlighted. Those line items are definitely high. Let me see how close we are.
I was just curious, but
Yeah, we're at about 70% spent on our fuel line, 69 and 70% as of the end of
right.
30% spent.
So at some point.
30%. So a little
At
higher
some
than
point,
25.
would it benefit us to have our own fuel tank at Station 3? Because we get that fuel on state bid, which I know is cheaper than Julitz's. And it would probably take us 10 years to pay for it. But the ease of having a tank there, and I think, help me out, when we built that, I think they ran the lines over to where.
We have everything in place other than the tanks. All the infrastructure is there if we want to put a pump.
Just diesel is all we would need there.
It's not an ideal location now, seeing the layout of between the storage building and the tower. It's certainly not ideal. We can definitely do like a quick cost analysis of what we spend going to Jubits from 63 versus, typically I think 62 comes here to fuel. And then obviously our busiest units are here out of 61.
62 has a tank, right?
62 does have a tank
Yes.
and we use that.
So I'm just, and that way, and obviously if we were without power for a period of time, we could get diesel there for the generator. They wouldn't have to go down to Julitz's. It'd save a little bit of time. Even on state bid, I think when things like this happen, they do have the insights. But there used to be like a 60-cent a gallon difference. I don't know what it is now. Don't quote me.
Well, let's look into it.
That's interesting. When we look at everything else. Thank you.
Right. Surplus list.
Yeah. In your board package, see a shorter surplus list.
That keeps going like this. He'll have his wages paid for by then. And
Just ask for approval to surplus those items.
the old building antenna isn't the antenna.
I think they came and retrieved all their equipment when we were in the demo phase of 61. So yeah, that was ours, and we were just.
I'll move that we authorize the chief to get rid of those surplus items as he sees fit.
Second. Right, Motion is made and seconded. All those in favor? Let's see, executive session. The board will be going into executive session in accordance with RCW 42.30.110, parentheses 1, parentheses I, to discuss district legal counsel litigation. Threatened to which the agency, the governing body or member acting in capacity could become a party. The executive session will last for 30 minutes.
Ending then?
We'll come back then at 5:10.
Okay.
Let's just take the three chiefs. This is Chief Martin's first time on this. Let's do it. Board met in executive session and took no action. Roundtable, go to the order.
I want to say today was Administrative Professionals Day. And we had a nice lunch with our staff, but again, just want to thank them and all the work that they do to support us. They do a great job and really keep us on track and focused. And without them, we'd be in sore shape. So we have a wonderful staff, and thank you guys for letting us have them, but also just a thank you to them.
That will need to authorize April issuance of payroll warrants, Clark County Treasurer. Authorize April payroll direct deposit treasurer's check. Authorize April deposit federal FICA medical withholding treasurer's check. Authorize pre-authorization invoice transmittal and authorize payment of current bills. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.